Welcome to Daily English Dialogues channel, where we take a deep dive into advanced English language use. We're aiming this squarely at you, the ambitious learner, who wants to move past the basics and really communicate with genuine confidence.
Exactly. And today, we're not just, listing vocabulary. We're basically handing you a complete linguistic blueprint for navigating some pretty high-stakes, real-world scenarios.
And our stage for this language lesson, the classic road trip.
The road trip.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. It's the ultimate proving ground for real-world English fluency, isn't it? It forces this unique collision of challenges.
How so?
Well, you've got the meticulous logistics, all the complex planning, budgeting. That stuff has to be precise. Then that smashes head-on into high-stakes communication, like what happens when your car breaks down hundreds of miles from anywhere. You need the right words.
Absolutely critical.
And then there's the intense, sometimes profound intimacy that just happens when you're locked in a small metal box with someone for days.
Yeah, no escape.
Exactly. So today, we're deep diving into the specific language that governs all three of those pressures.
And our mission here is to give you a kind of linguistic shortcut. We're deliberately moving past those, basic survival phrases you learned first.
Right.
We want to explore the advanced vocabulary, those essential phrasal verbs, and the grammatical nuances like subtle differences in meaning that you really need for confident, fluent communication, especially when the chips are down.
Think of it as a deep dive into practical preparedness, linguistically speaking.
Precisely. It's a blueprint for both linguistic and practical readiness.
And we've pulled together a really fascinating stack of sources for this. We've got everything from detailed university-backed relationship guides to insightful Reddit threads with screenwriting advice, believe it or not.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, plus technical car repair glossaries and specialized English lesson transcripts focused on achieving real fluency.
Okay, quite a mix. So let's hit the road, shall we? And unpack this whole linguistic journey.
Let's do it.
Okay, so when you're planning a successful road trip, the first big hurdle is almost always, money.
Yeah, the budget. Always the budget.
Right. And our sources really stress the absolute necessity of creating a detailed, comprehensive budget spreadsheet. This isn't just like a nice to have for the serious planner.
No, it's essential. It demands meticulous foresight, as one source put it.
Meticulous. Good word. And when we talk about meticulous planning, we mean really breaking down every potential cost.
And for you, the learner, this actually requires specific terminology, right?
Yeah.
To categorize those expenses properly, you need clear lines for what? Lodging?
Yep. Lodging, fuel, which, is always fluctuating, food, equipment and supplies you might need to buy.
And maybe the most important one.
The miscellaneous costs category.
The catch-all.
Exactly. Because that's often the killer, isn't it?
Yeah.
It captures all those smaller fees that just add up and up, like toll roads,
Entrance fees for parks.
unexpected parking costs, tourist taxes, you name it.
So using a spreadsheet lets you separate out your, what did the sources call them? Base expenses.
Right, base expenses. Those are the non-negotiables, like your booked accommodation, your estimated gasoline. You separate those from discretionary spending.
Which is basically the fun money, souvenirs, maybe a fancy meal.
Exactly. The stuff you could cut back on if needed.
And the power of doing this, of categorizing, linguistically speaking, is that it lets you see where the big money chunks are going so you can adjust your route or your plans ahead of time.
Yeah, it moves your language away from just hopeful guesses, I think fuel will cost this much, towards more definite statements of intention, like we're going to allocate X amount for fuel based on this route.
That makes sense. More control.
Precisely. And this level of preparation helps ensure you're equipped to handle those unexpected financial bumps with aplomb.
Aplomb. I like that. It means poise, assurance, right? Self-confidence, even when things go wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can only really maintain aplomb during a crisis if you've planned for financial contingencies.
Contingencies. So like backup plans for money problems.
Yeah. For instance, you could say, when the tow truck unexpectedly charged an outrageous rate, she handled the negotiation with complete aplomb. Why? Because she had anticipated the need for cash reserves. She'd planned that contingency.
Okay, speaking of contingencies, we absolutely have to talk about the emergency fund. Every source hammered this home. It's absolutely vital.
Couldn't agree more. It's vital because it acts as the buffer, doesn't it? Between a minor, stressful inconvenience
and a catastrophic trip-ending disaster. Yeah.
And we need to be really specific about what this fund should cover. It's not just for, a massive engine failure.
Right. It's also for things like insurance deductibles and copays.
Exactly. Even if you have good health insurance, you might still need, say, $500 cash readily available. That could easily be a typical copay for an emergency room visit if something happens.
And that cost is immediate. You can't wait for a claim.
No. And on the practical side, the sources were really adamant to carry some of that emergency fund in cash.
Yeah, I wondered about that. Why cash, specifically in this day and age?
Well, the feedback was very specific. Tow truck drivers, particularly, sometimes insist on cash, especially in remote areas, maybe after hours.
Ah, okay. That's a crucial bit of insider knowledge for any traveler, isn't it?
It really is. Now, for the bigger things like, replacing a whole set of tires or paying for a major car repair, absolutely use a credit card if you can.
Sure.
But that smaller cash reserve is for those immediate, roadside, sometimes awkward transactional emergencies.
Got it. Okay, let's pivot now from managing money to managing language. Because how we talk about these future plans, these potential emergencies, is so important for you as an advanced English learner.
Absolutely. If you want to sound confident, sound clear, you have to master the nuance and the future tense. Specifically, that classic distinction between will and going to.
Ah, yes, the grammar hurdle. This trips up so many learners.
It's a classic test for fluency, you're right. And getting it right instantly changes how people perceive your level of commitment. Honestly, misusing these is often what separates an intermediate speaker from someone who sounds truly advanced.
So why is that distinction so critical? Linguistically, practically, in a high-stakes situation like planning a road trip.
Because it sends a clear signal. To your travel partner, maybe to a hotel clerk, whoever. It signals whether you're making a definite arrangement that's already been decided, or if it's more of a spontaneous commitment made right now, on the spot.
Okay, break that down. When do we use will?
Okay, so will generally signals a decision made in the moment of speaking. Or it could be a spontaneous offer, or maybe a sudden prediction about the immediate future.
Right, like you're at the gas station, you suddenly feel thirsty, you say?
I will grab a Coke. It wasn't pre-planned. It's an immediate spur-of-the-moment choice.
Okay, or if you're driving, trying to decide which way to turn, and you suddenly get a feeling.
You might say, I think we will turn right here. The traffic looks a bit lighter. It's a quick prediction, maybe a sudden decision.
Got it. Spontaneous. So conversely, going to is for.
Going to is used pretty much exclusively to talk about intentions or plans that were already fixed, already decided before you started speaking.
Ah, okay. So if you planned your whole itinerary months ago.
Then you'd say, we're going to stop at that national park we booked tickets for. It signals a definite arrangement, a prior commitment. It feels much less flexible than a decision made with will.
So let me see if I have this. If I call a hotel manager and say, we will arrive around 8 p.m., it might sound a bit like a hopeful guess, maybe flexible.
Yeah, possibly. It suggests you just decided that or are estimating right now.
But if I say, we are going to arrive at 8 p.m. because we've planned the mileage precisely, that sounds much more like a definite, confirmed arrangement.
Exactly. The auxiliary verb will or be going to completely changes the perceived certainty and the commitment level of your statement.
Wow. That clarity is vital then, isn't it? Especially when you're dealing with reservation deadlines or, critical logistics. Getting that nuance right really does upgrade your fluency.
Instantly. Okay, moving on slightly, let's touch on some essential planning vocabulary. Road trips are just fertile ground for specific word combinations, collocations, and phrasal verbs.
Yeah, we need to be fluent in the verbs around bookings and scheduling, right? Like we book a flight or we book our accommodation.
And ideally, you book it in advance, maybe as far in advance as possible.
We also use phrases about time optimization, like to make the most of the driving day, we need to.
Get an early start.
Right. And what about when things deplete? Resources, time.
Super useful phrasal verb run out. You hear it constantly. We almost ran out of gas in the desert. Or we ran out of time to see the museum.
Yeah, very common. And for a quick meal, to save time.
The phrase grab a bite is pretty universal in informal English. Let's stop at the next exit and grab a bite. It implies something quick, minimizing delay.
Good one. What about the admin side? Passports, insurance?
Absolutely critical. You need to make sure your passport or ID is still valid, that it hasn't expired. That's a key checklist item.
Definitely don't want to find that out at the border.
No.
Right.
And for international travel, getting travel insurance is huge. It's not just a safety net. It requires navigating specific terms like coverage limits, deductibles, what to do about unexpected events like, lost luggage or getting sick abroad.
Right. That's a whole vocabulary set in itself. Okay, so the planning's done, the budget's set, but inevitably the journey hits a snag. Something goes wrong with the car.
It happens. Often.
And that's when the conversation shifts hard, from leisure to crisis mode. The road trip forces us as learners into this highly specialized, high-stakes language zone, automotive English.
Yeah, and the ability to clearly, precisely describe car trouble to a mechanic is absolutely key. It saves time, and critically, it saves money. Vagueness can cost you thousands.
Precision is everything here, you said. You can't just walk in and say, my car's making a funny noise.
No. You need to be able to diagnose it, at least linguistically. Let's start with the engine. You, the learner, need to know the difference between, say, simple rough idling.
That's when the engine speed is uneven when you're stopped, like at a traffic light.
Exactly. You need to differentiate that from something much more serious, like an engine misfire. That often feels like the car is shaking or shuddering, maybe losing power for a second.
Okay. And what about sounds, like a knocking sound versus just a rattle?
Vital distinction. A knocking sound from deep within the engine is often a signal of potentially catastrophic failure. You need to stop immediately.
Right. And if the car is just sluggish, slowing down when it shouldn't, especially going uphill?
You might describe that as experiencing a loss of power, or even worse, it might be stalling completely. The engine just cuts out.
Okay, engine problems. What if it's the transmission? Gears and stuff.
Right, different system, different vocabulary. You might need to report slipping gears. That's where the engine revs up high, but the car doesn't accelerate properly.
I think I felt that.
Or you might just have difficulty shifting between gears. Maybe it feels sticky or it clunks.
And brakes. Those awful noises.
If you hear that horrible metal-on-metal sound when you brake, you report grinding noises. It boosts your confidence if you understand the basics, like knowing the brake system works on hydraulic power. It helps you discuss it more intelligently.
That technical knowledge really does give you leverage, doesn't it? You're not just guessing anymore. You're communicating a potential diagnosis.
Exactly. And even for basic maintenance you might do yourself, you need the right words. Checking the level of the oil, the transmission fluid, the coolant.
Which is the stuff in the radiator that stops the engine overheating.
Correct. And you need to know the basic bits that keep the car's electrical system going.
Like the belts.
Yeah, the fan belt drives various things. And crucially, the alternator.
What does the alternator do again?
It generates electricity to keep the battery charged while the engine's running. If the alternator fails, your battery will just drain, and pretty soon you'll be stranded.
Ah, okay. Good to know. And what about tools for roadside emergencies?
Got to know the tools of the trade. Essentials include a lug wrench, that's for taking off the lug nuts that hold the tire on.
Right. And the thing to lift the car.
The jack. You need the jack to raise the vehicle to change a tire. And, of course, jumper cables.
For dead battery.
Yep. Those cables are used to give a boost or a jump to a dead battery from another car's battery. Knowing these terms makes you feel and sound like a capable participant, not just a helpless bystander when something breaks down.
Definitely builds confidence. Okay, let's shift from the technical to the tragicomic.
Uh-oh.
The planning failures that lead to that infamous "I can't believe I forgot that" scenario. These stories are memorable because they really highlight what happens with poor preparation.
Yeah, we've all got them or heard them.
I found one story about someone packing while, let's say, distracted, particularly instructive. Friend organizing late at night, maybe had a drink or two.
Never a good idea before packing.
No. Arrives at the destination for a week-long work trip, opens the suitcase, nothing but socks and a toothbrush.
Oh, no. The chaos. Imagine the frantic shopping trip.
Exactly. Requires a whole vocabulary of frustration and urgency. Or what about the person who packed only one boot, forgot the matching one?
Seriously, one boot.
Yeah. Alongside, apparently, a huge collection of belts, but zero underwear.
Okay, that's quite specific, funny, yes, but it underlines the lesson, doesn't it? Distraction, rushing.
Yeah.
It leads to costly or at least very inconvenient mistakes.
And maybe the most painful ones are the logistics failures that cost serious time. Like the person who realized hours down the road they'd left their kid's entire suitcase all packed and ready, just sitting by the front door at home, had to drive 6 hours round trip to get it.
Ouch. That's more than inconvenient. What do you even call that kind of meltdown? a total organizational fiasco.
Fiasco sounds about right. But more importantly, these stories are just powerful reminders of the absolute non-negotiables you cannot forget.
Right. Number 1, passport or ID. Number 2,
Mm-hmm.
wallet, credit cards.
And number 3, critically, medication.
Cannot stress that enough. Forgetting things like epilepsy pills or insulin that instantly turns vacation into a potential medical crisis. Requires emergency help.
So check, double check, triple check those essentials. On the brighter side of preparedness, though, what about useful little things?
Well, the idea of a multi-purpose tool often comes up, like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Handy for all sorts of unexpected little tasks.
Good point. And duct tape. Always duct tape.
Always duct tape. And don't overlook simple admin things, like having a dedicated coin pouch with quarters.
Sounds a bit old-fashioned. Quarters.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But it can be invaluable for some toll roads that still only take cash, or old-school parking meters, or maybe doing a load of laundry at a roadside motel laundromat. Still useful sometimes.
Fair enough. Okay, finally for this section, let's cement some roadside colloquialisms. The term pit stop. Essential, right?
Absolutely. A pit stop is just a brief, necessary stop, usually to refuel the car, use the restroom, maybe grab a quick coffee, get back on the road quickly.
And a key piece of advice. Remember to fill up the tank before you leave a major town or city. Don't wait until the gauge is near empty, especially in remote areas.
Wise words. And for just general conversational fluency, talking about the journey itself, we use idioms.
Like when everything's going perfectly, smooth roads, no traffic.
You have clear sailing. Means no obstacles, no problems at all. Smooth sailing works too.
Nice. And what if you comment out loud, wow, this trip is going so smoothly, and you don't want to jinx it?
Then you use that classic superstitious expression, knock on wood. You
Yeah.
say it, maybe even tap your knuckle on something wooden, hoping your positive comment doesn't tempt fate.
Uh-huh, right. Knock on wood. Got it.
Okay, so imagine the budget's holding up, the car's running smoothly, miraculously all the luggage made it.
The dream scenario.
Right.
Yeah.
Then the road trip really becomes this prolonged opportunity for human connection.
Right.
That enforced closeness, being in the car for hours. It's actually a unique environment for deep, focused conversation.
Yeah, it kind of forces you away from just staring silently at screens, doesn't it?
It really does. And for you, the learner, this environment is like the perfect laboratory for practicing intentional dialogue, really using your English.
And we found this fascinating resource linked to this from Utah State University Extension, of all places. A list of 55 romantic and spicy questions.
Spicy, okay.
Yeah, designed specifically to promote deeper connection in relationships. But crucially for our purposes, these questions themselves model some pretty advanced grammatical and rhetorical structures.
Interesting. So how can we break these down? Can we categorize them?
Yeah, I think we can group them by the kind of linguistic goal they seem to fulfill. First, there are questions focused on future vision, like
yeah.
where do you see us in 5 years? Or could you see us spending the rest of our lives together? Those immediately require you to use the future tense, modal verbs like could or might, often complex hypothetical if clauses.
Right. Answering, where do you see us in 5 years? Isn't simple. You might need the future perfect tense. Well, by that time, we will have completed our move, or you will have started saving for a house. That's quite high-level grammar.
Exactly. It's advanced practice disguised as intimacy.
Sneaky. Okay, what's another category?
Second category seems to be around love language and admiration. These focus on specific emotional acts.
Examples.
What's something I do that makes you feel loved? Or what's the most attractive quality you see in me? Answering these demands descriptive language, doesn't it? You need nuanced emotional vocabulary, complex adjectives, way beyond just simple praise like, you're nice.
You have to elaborate.
Right. And the final category, the intimacy and history ones, the spicy ones.
Okay.
These delve into more personal territory, obviously, designed to promote comfort and maybe exploration in the relationship. Questions like, what's your favorite steamy movie scene? Or what's something you've always wanted to try in the bedroom?
Okay, yeah, those require careful phrasing, don't they? To make sure you're being respectful, keeping communication open. You'd probably use a lot of conditional clauses if you'd be comfortable with.
Yeah.
Maybe we could try.
Exactly. It's all about careful communication. Now, shifting gears slightly, let's look at the broader structure of conversation itself. Our sources brought in some screenwriting advice here, which I thought was fascinating.
Screenwriting, how does that apply?
Well, there's a fundamental rule in screenwriting. No conflict, no scene.
No conflict, no scene.
Okay. And that's actually a really profound takeaway for English learners, I think. For any dialogue to be engaging, to hold a listener's interest, even seemingly mundane, everyday chat, it needs to have some kind of underlying goal or tension, or maybe just subtle conflict.
So conversation isn't just about exchanging facts.
Rarely. According to this advice, the goal is often to subtly push an agenda, maybe expose a vulnerability in the other person, or gently assert some kind of control or viewpoint. The characters are, you and your travel buddy are just sort of floating through the plot with no friction.
It gets boring fast. A snooze fest, as one writer put it.
Exactly. Good dialogue should always be trying to gently, or maybe not so gently, rip open some inner conflict or expose who the people involved truly are.
Okay, can you give an example of that? Injecting conflict into something routine.
Yeah, the classic joke about the couple driving along discussing death and remarriage. Remember that one?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
How does it go?
So the topic is serious shared inheritance. The wife asks the husband, if she dies first, would he give his new wife her jewelry? He says, sure, honey. Then she asks about her expensive handbags. Yeah, of course.
Okay, tension's building. He seems a bit too eager.
Right, he's showing how quickly he'd part with her prized possessions. But then she asks about her cherished, custom-made golf clubs. And he replies.
What does he say?
He says, no, definitely not the golf clubs. She's surprised, asks why not. He says because she's left-handed.
Oh, wow. That's brutal. Brutal, but it relies entirely on the dialogue structure, right? The serious chat about her death is just the setup. The conflict comes from that tiny detail, the mention of the new wife's dominant hand, which suddenly, shockingly confirms he's already got concrete plans for remarriage.
It's a perfect, if dark, example of how a conversation's real goal wasn't just discussing inheritance, but exposing his hidden selfish intention through that tiny conflict.
Okay, I see how that works. So to help learners navigate these kinds of dynamic, natural exchanges better, we should probably review some useful conversational phrases, right? The little things that enhance fluency beyond just basic question answer.
Absolutely. These are critical for just sounding natural when you chat in English. What are some good ones?
Well, to express genuine surprise, you could use. How about that? It's a nice way to show you've heard something new and interesting.
How about that? Okay. And for agreeing strongly, instead of just yes.
You could say, okay by me? That's very informal, very natural. Or maybe something slightly more formal like, that's my feeling too. Shows strong agreement.
Good ones. What if someone in the car is getting really impatient, complaining about the speed, wanting to stop again?
Ah, the classic idiom for that is, just hold your horses.
Hold your horses? Love it. Tells them to slow down, wait a bit, usually in a fairly lighthearted way.
Usually, yeah. And finally, for leaving someone informally, beyond just goodbye.
What's current?
Well, so long is a bit old-fashioned now, but people still use it sometimes. Much more modern and casual would be something like, check you later.
Check you later.
Yeah.
Okay. These little phrases, used in the right context, really do make you sound more integrated, more natural.
They absolutely do. Lastly, let's quickly touch on some colorful language for describing the experiences on the trip, moving beyond simple adjectives like good or bad.
Yeah, idioms for assessment.
Right. So if an event, or maybe a place like a restaurant, was incredibly busy, popular, or just performing excellently, you could say it was on fire.
On fire. Example.
That little diner we stopped at, it was on fire. Packed with people, the cooks were working flat out, great atmosphere.
Okay. And if a place is too busy, like the staff are totally overwhelmed.
Then they might say they were slammed. Sorry for the, wait folks, we're totally slammed tonight.
Slammed.
Yeah.
Got it. What if you have to abandon a plan? Like a park is too crowded.
The informal verb for that is usually bail. Yeah, we had to bail on visiting the monument. The queue was insane, and we were running out of time.
Right, bail. Makes sense. And if something just completely exceeded your expectations, way better than you imagined.
Then you were blown away by it. The view from the mountaintop just blew me away. Absolutely stunning.
Blown away. Nice. These idioms are like your linguistic currency, aren't they? For telling the stories after the trip is over.
Exactly. They make your storytelling much more vivid and engaging. Hashtag outro.
Okay, so as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into the whole road trip lexicon, let's just quickly distill those 3 critical linguistic takeaways, the things that will really elevate your fluency almost immediately. Go for it. What's number 1?
First, the absolute importance of precision in how you talk about the future. Mastering that subtle but really vital distinction between will for spontaneous in-the-moment stuff and going to for those prior fixed commitments, getting that right seriously boosts how confident you sound.
Okay, precision in the future tense. Got it. Number 2.
Second, the confidence you gain from mastering specialized vocabulary. Whether that's the technical language you need to clearly diagnose an engine misfire, or rough idling to a mechanic,
Uh-huh.
or just knowing the specific packing vocabulary, the names of things, to avoid that logistical catastrophe, like forgetting essential medication. Knowing the words gives you power.
Specialized vocabulary for confidence.
Right.
And number 3.
And third, recognizing the capacity for deeper connection that gets unlocked through intentional, structured dialogue. Remember that screenwriting rule. Conversation, especially on a long road trip, should ideally have some underlying conflict or humor or purpose. It should lead you and your companion to actually expose a bit more of who you really are, using maybe more sophisticated language and questions.
Deeper connection through intentional dialogue. Okay, those are 3 great takeaways. So we really encourage you, our listener, to embrace active language practice, what linguists call retrieval practice. Don't just passively listen to this.
Right. Take action.
Yeah. Right now, maybe after this finishes, try to consciously use one new concept we talked about. Perhaps practice explaining the difference between will and going to in your head. Or try using one of those conversational idioms like, just hold your horses next time you need it.
Because true fluency isn't just about knowing the words passively, is it? It's about being able to retrieve and use them accurately, confidently, especially when the pressure's on. You know, we've seen today that road trips involve this weird mix of the meticulously planned, like that detailed budget designed to handle financial surprises with aplomb,
Right.
and the utterly unexpected, like that shocking joke about the golf clubs that suddenly reveals hidden intentions.
Yeah, it's the full spectrum. So here's a final thought to leave you with. The next time you find yourself stuck on a trip, maybe mentally stuck for words, or physically stuck by the roadside, what phrase will you deploy first?
Will be a precise piece of automotive vocabulary to get the help you need. Or maybe a carefully worded question aimed at deeper connection with your travel partner. What tool from your linguistic toolkit will you use to regain control and turn that mishap into just another memorable story?
Something to think about.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.